take you on the journey as I figure out how to fix this. I had one of these great molds that I fired a piece of blue aventurine that was irid, and got the amazing sugar skull pattern. I tried to drape it, or excuse me, slump it into this bullseye square slumper, and as you can clearly see, the glass moved on me during the firing, and so here we end up with this. And so the challenge I think I'm going to have, I mean, fortunately it all picked up off of that just fine, nothing stuck. I would traditionally, I think, flip this over and try to fire it flat again. And I think that this, yeah, sorry for the rough camera work, I think that part would lay down flat and be okay. What I'm a little worried about is this angle here. See, that's going to fold in on itself, and so instead of folding out and becoming flat again, it's going to fold in on itself and create a fold in the glass, which is clearly not what I want. So I'm going to have to get a little creative and think about how to fire this, you know, maybe at an angle or something to get it to lay down flat. I may have to ultimately put it back on this mold. If I have to take it up to a high enough temperature to get a nice flat surface, I may have to put it back on the mold. So let me think through this a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, here's what I think I'm going to do. I've got this large bullseye lamp bender mold, so I know I'm signing up for multiple firings on this piece of glass at this point, but I'm thinking if I put this guy on the lamp bender mold and let gravity work with me here, that once this glass starts to move, and because of the curve, I guess I'm hoping it'll, you know, fall outward here and follow the curve, kind of using gravity. Maybe if I can pull this a little bit more this direction. What I don't want is for the whole dang thing to, you know, to slide off and end up on the kiln floor. But I think that, you know, this glass will fold over and start to hug this side, hopefully then keeping it onto my mold, and that this piece, because this is the guy that I'm worried about, rather than folding inward, because of gravity and kind of the curvature of this, it'll start to fold out, and I'm confident that that's what's going to happen with this end. I don't think this one has much. I shouldn't say confident. That's a risky word, but I'm pretty sure that this one will fold outward and then ultimately down. So I'm going to put this on a slow drape schedule now, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I don't know that you're going to be able to see this as well as I can in person, but it is nice and orange inside the kiln because the elements are heating up and warming everything up, and so far the piece has slumped pretty nicely over the mold, and you see this corner, that tricky corner is sticking up right in front of my viewing window here, but I do think it's starting to fall the right direction. It's kind of hard to see, and it'll be slow over time, but I'm taking this up to 1180 degrees and holding it for 5 minutes, and right now we're only at 1108, so we've got about 80 degrees more to go and a little bit more time, but I'm thinking that's going to lay over nicely. So there you go. Okay, so I've opened up the kiln and it worked. So the angle gave me what I needed to get that piece to fold down. I mean, there's obviously a crease in it yet, but that's okay because I'm going to flatten this out in a full fuse next. This didn't fully lay down. There's a little bit of a gap. That's okay too. Look how close I got to touching that thermocouple, so I got lucky there, I guess. So it's all right that didn't fully lay down because I'm going to fuse this thing flat next, but just want to share with you that this worked. I did have an idea after this was already in the kiln and running. The other thing I probably could have done and maybe saved myself this extra step or this extra firing, I could have tried to put it on a kiln shelf to fire flat and propped the shelf up at an angle, which may have given me enough of an angle to get that corner to lay down. We'll never know because I'm not intending to screw this up again, but for what it's worth, this one worked. Now the next step is to put it on a kiln shelf and fire it flat again. Okay, I came out this morning and opened the kiln and check it out. Worked fairly well. It kept its square shape very nicely. I was a little worried about distortion. I know I'm creating a shadow here. The only thing it didn't quite get rid of that wrinkle or that fold there, and there's another slight one there. Not sure if you can tell. Yeah. So all in all, I'll consider this a victory, and I don't think I have to do any cold working. Those two little wrinkles don't bother me too much. I think when I slump them down into a platter mold, I hope anyway, they'll kind of level out even further. So I think we're on to slumping next. All right, it is Friday morning. I've been playing with this piece of glass all week, and the firing is done, and I'm generally pleased. So there's a little bit of that hump there, and a little bit there. On the back of the glass, you can kind of see where there's a dimple there, and it's kind of a scar from that initial fold. But overall, I'm pleased with this this journey. So I could have fixed that, I believe, by taking it to a full fuse again, flattening the whole thing out, maybe full fusing it on that tile again at the same time, I'm not sure. Then I would have been up into 6 and 7 firings for this, single piece of 3mm glass. I just didn't want to quite do all of that. So I think this one is good as is. I realize it's got a little bit of a birthmark there in a couple of spots, but I'm okay with that. I'm pleased with this. I'll make more of these, not with the same journey that I had to take on this one, but generally speaking, I really do enjoy that textured tile, and